Well, hello everyone. This is Carrie back with How to Homeschool My Child, and it is Monday, start of a brand new day. I'm going to spend some time today talking about how do we homeschool our kids when we have more than one child. You know, there's really a balance between both of those. I visited with Katie Wolf back in July. I got to interview her, and she homeschools one child. They have an only child. And so there's really people think, oh, that would be so easy, and yet she had to do things to sort of make sure everything's going okay. And sometimes she has problems and different kinds of issues that are different from those of us who have multiple kids. So we're going to talk about how do we homeschool kids when we have multiple kids. If you're just joining us, leave a comment and tell me how many kids you're homeschooling. Maybe even tell me your ages so we can sort of see what that is, or if there's something that's a real challenge in trying to homeschool all the kids, leave that as well. You see, one thing that I see is we've got, let's just say you have 3 kids. We have 3 kids. We have 7 subjects every single day. That's 21 preps, 21 lesson plans for 1 week. And then, I'm sorry, 21 preps for 1 day. Because 7 subjects in 1 day, 3 kids, 21. I'm not really with it right now. I'm multiplying. So I have it written down. That's 105 lesson plans in a week and 3,780 lesson plans in an entire year. Whoa! I'm exhausted just thinking about it. So we need to maybe rethink the way that we homeschool and see if there are some better ways to do that. And I know that some of you are very concerned. Well, what if my kids, what if I can't check everything off the list? Well, who made a checklist anyway? Certainly not the local school district. If you're homeschooling, you need to be able to do what's best for your own kids. I think that's really important. And the first way that we can do that is to listen to God. See what He is calling you to do. You don't need to teach every single subject in every single grade level forever. You know, when my kids were in elementary school, science was sort of a fun thing. We made sure it was fun. We would pick a topic, go to the library, get some books, make sure one of them was always an activity or an experiment book. And once a week we would do some sort of activity or experiment to go along with that. So one of the things I think, and you've heard me say this and I'm going to say it again, is hop off the conveyor belt and quit worrying about that checklist. Listen to God and see what He has to say. Now, this is the big picture. We're going to dive deep into how do we do it with different kids. God gave you your kids, and He gave them to you because you know them best, and I think you know what's best for them. And not every child is going to do everything. I've told this other story. Ashley did not finish Algebra 2. Did you? Okay. She did not finish Algebra 2. She went on to get a college degree in a year and a half. We moved back from Idaho down here to Texas, and within another year, she had her teaching certificate because she wanted to teach at-risk kids. That was where her heart was. Now, that is not your normal way to get a college degree or to get a teaching certificate. She did not even finish Algebra 2, and most of y'all would be all worried. You got to finish Algebra 2. Hurry up and finish Algebra 2. Well, you know what? She didn't really need it. Ashley never took the SAT, never took an ACT, never took one of those college board type tests, and she still has a degree. She's actually working on a seminary degree, her master's at Dallas Theological Seminary right now. So, you need to take a step back and see what's best for your family. How can you homeschool your kids the best way? Listen to God, He's going to show you. So here are some practical tips to get you going. One thing I think is really important, let me see if I can get this thing to sort of, is to group your subjects together. First thing we did each morning at breakfast is we did Bible. I did not have different Bible lessons for all our kids. We always were sort of covering and studying the same thing. It might be reading through a book of the Bible. We may have worked on, I wish I had the kids, no, they're not here. We did some inductive Bible studies when they were in elementary school, and they were all working on them at the same pace. And so once a week, oh great. They want to install updates. Of course they do, right in the middle of this thing. And I don't know how to get rid of it. Just 1 second. Of course. Okay, well, let's hope it doesn't shut me down. All right, so Bible we did all together. History, we covered the same time period. So if we were all studying American history, we all studied the same time period. We read a book aloud on that, and then each one of my kids could independently read a book at their own level. So Hunter may have been doing, I think, the Sarah Witcher story, and the girls may have been reading Witch of Blackbird Pond, because they were within a year and a half, 2 years of each other. They often read the same book. So that's how we did history. Science, I already told you. We just picked a topic. And I would say then even in high school, we could put them in the same one if they were close in ages. But we picked a topic. We went to the library. We got books. I already had some books here. We would read them at different levels. The kids could read them. And I'm going to tell you right now, in science, if you go get a picture book from the library, you will actually learn a lot of science. I just finished my unit ocean unit study, and most of the books that I recommend are picture books, because there is actual some good science that you can learn from picture books. You can actually learn science from the Magic School Bus. And why not have fun and let your 6th grader think, oh my gosh, I got this easy book to read, the Magic School Bus. Let them think that, but they're going to be learning some science along the way. And then we also, I didn't have YouTube at the time, but I would use some YouTube videos to go along with that. Literature, if we were studying a literature time period, we would be doing that all together as well. So we would group our subjects together, always starting with Bible first thing in the morning. Then next we would do family morning time. And this is sort of my catch-all. So I did not like poetry growing up, and so I wanted my kids to have a good attitude about poetry. So every morning they had to read a poem out loud. Now, they were fun books like Shel Silverstein. Then I would read a more serious poem, and we could talk about that. We would do art appreciation and music appreciation. You know, normally I would have had all these great props, but I was actually watching a business webinar right before I got on, and I didn't get all my props. But I would get books open that they could actually, we just open the book and we look at a picture, and then we just talk about it. Or we would listen to classical kids as far as learning classical music and stuff. Hymns, we would sing a hymn every morning, because at the time our church did not sing hymns, and I wanted them to know hymns. So we would sing the same hymn every day for a week or two. And so I wanted that to be part of their homeschool. We did that all together. And then we would always read a book aloud during our family morning time. It was an hour, half of that, 30 minutes, was reading a book together. I wanted to always start with reading aloud. I wanted them to value. I did not quit reading out loud to them when they could read themselves. In other words, yes, my kids were in high school and we were still reading aloud. Reading aloud, there are just so many benefits. One of them is relationships. 2, it's a love of a subject, and they get introduced to sometimes books that they would never pick up off the shelf. So read aloud first thing. Now, another way that we can do this and I'm just going to take that family morning time and the grouping together. You could pull them together and make some unit studies. Let me just give you a few ideas. You may not know this, but students that work through unit studies retain 45% more than traditional approaches to homeschooling. They retain almost half more, 45%. Unit studies are worth looking into, and they don't have to be that hard. So let's say we're studying Middle Ages, and we come along and maybe we are reading one of Howard Pyle's books out loud together, Otto of the Silver Hand. And Hunter might be reading, he was young, Door in the Wall. And then the girls might be reading the Divine Comedy, reading maybe the Hell book. And so everyone's reading their own. We're reading a book together. But there are other things that we can do together as a family. Maybe each of my kids writes a paragraph about life in the Middle Ages based on the book that they're reading. Or maybe they all come together and they create a middle-aged news paper, the front page of it, and everyone's got a different story or a picture they've got to donate to the newspaper. Or in science, maybe we're going to study the printing press. How did it work? Maybe we can make a little printing press and rub it, push it down, and make some printing press things. The other thing we could do is make soap or candles or stained glass. Those are all science type things from the Middle Ages. Making a trebuchet, you know, that thing that goes psh, and it pops the whatever you're sending over into the castle. You could make a trebuchet, and you can make a miniature one with popsicle sticks, or you can make a giant one that you go outside and shoot. Listening to classical kids, Vivaldi and Bach and different ones like that. Classical kids are audios that tell the story of a famous musician and uses that famous musician's music in the background. Copy work, copying sections of the book the child is reading, and then even fun times just playing games from the Middle Ages. What kind of games did they play? You could do that, or you could find some games that review the ideas of Middle Ages, like Treason in the Tower, and that would be something. So you could do all of those things, and you can do it all together, so you don't have to separate everything. All right, and then the last thing is involve your children in your own family activities. For us, that included devotions, Bible time. That was going to be one of our family activities. What kind of activities do you do? We did scrapbooking at the time, and so we would all work together on different kinds of scrapbooking. Ashley liked to sew, and I liked to sew, so we would sew together. Sometimes we would tie that in. One of the family activities that all of my children participated in, and that was our family business. That was just something that we always included them in. And sometimes that was working at home, sometimes that was when we traveled to an event, but our kids always worked in our family business because we wanted to give them the ability to have their own business, so they would have the freedom to make their own decisions. Do I take a job or do I not? Hunter's over in Hawaii right now. He started his own marketing LLC. And he's making money. And so, I mean, I'm just like, that is so exciting. He is not working for a company for this whole year. And so he has the freedom to do that. He'll be able to come back at Thanksgiving, and then he's going back over there in January as well. I have the freedom because I have an online business and a blog. I'll be going over to see him. I just booked my ticket today on October 22nd, coming back on Halloween of all night. But just sort of the way it works, but that was the best day for me to come back is on a Sunday, because it was the easiest day for him to get me back to the airport over in Kauai. So that's really important. If you've ever wanted to have your own business, this week I just got off this webinar and it was so good. And it was all about printables and things that you could sell for like $5 or $10 in a store. And I am going to get more information about this because I'm going to be sharing it with my family business students. But if you missed the workshop today, I will put a link in just a second. They are doing it again tomorrow. They have another one this evening on Instagram and how to use Instagram to grow your business. So I just think that is so good. I did some other free workshops last week. It was like family business time. Last week I did 7 ways to make money with your blog and 3 things holding you back from success. And I will put links to all of those free classes now, and so if you're interested in any of them, use the links that I'm going to do here. And I forgot to see if anyone had put how many kids that they've been homeschooling. I will say one last thing about family business. We are just opening up our mastermind, small groups of 5 to 7 businesses or bloggers. They get together once a month and we help each other grow our business to the next level. And so if that's something that you're interested in, I'll give you the link to that as well. That is what I've got as far as homeschooling multiple kids. Remember, you want to group them together as often as possible. Take family morning time and just use it for whatever it is important to you. What is God saying you need to include? And it doesn't have to be math and reading and writing. Use unit studies. Kids retain 45% more when you use unit studies. And then involve your kids in your family activities, whatever that happens to be. All right, well, I'm Carrie Beck with How to Homeschool My Child. Y'all have a great day.